Life is too short to play small. You were designed for big things. Welcome to the Big Design Energy podcast. I am your host, Marissa, and I am so happy to have you here with me. If you're curious about what it would look like for you to live a life truly extraordinary instead of settling for it could be better or it's not that bad, then join me as I share strategies, spiritual practices, and real-world examples to get you inspired and ready to make the life you dream of a reality. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Big Design Energy podcast. I have Daniela Sulek here with me today. She activates and integrates higher consciousness within her clients, works with a lot of executives, a lot of other human beings, as she'll tell you about, because I'm going to welcome her, and then we've already started talking about some great things. So we'll kind of dive in and just hit the ground running. Hi, Daniela.
Absolutely. Thank you, Marissa, for having me. Yep, I think it's the best way. Let's just start talking. Well, we already started, but we needed to hit the record.
Yeah, we were talking about, I asked how to pronounce your name and attachments to names and really anything. And then I asked about introducing you, and then that just kept furthering the conversation about labels and attachments. So I would love if we started there and then we could maybe move on to your story.
Okay. Yeah. So you asked me about the pronunciation of my name. And I said Sulek, but I said that you cannot mess up my name, or if you even mess up my name, I'm perfectly fine with it because I'm not attached to the name. And then about the coach, there is no label I can be kind of put into, because again, the mind works on labels. It really works when we are in a lower consciousness of the mind. The mind needs labels because we identify ourselves and we see the world through labels. That provides security, but also so that provides security. So, for example, I am a woman. I am a certain race. I am certain religion. I have certain background. And I'm really attached to that. But it also provides comes with a lot of anxiety. And actually, any conflict, any anger, any war, or conflict, whether on a personal level or mass consciousness level, comes from being attached to a label. Because if I'm Muslim, I need to fight against whoever is not Muslim. If I'm a Christian, this is me and the rest is wrong. Like I'm right and the rest is wrong. So it doesn't matter what kind of label. As long as I'm attached to label, there is an opposite, which is duality, which is the mind. There is a duality, and I am being threatened. My identity is being threatened. So when we drop the mind and we really increase our consciousness, the false self-identification with labels and with the outside world ceases to exist, and it doesn't really matter. I am not attached to the name or gender or who I am or my religion or where I am from. I'm free being. I have a certain history, but it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, this is me. Yeah, I was born there, but I don't fight for it. And if you mess up my name, whatever. So that just explained my answer there. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've been going through that. Like I said, changing my last name, getting married. And I recently was sober for 5 weeks because I was just getting, for a while, I was putting it off for a while. Just messages to connect and listen to my body and actually hear what my body was telling me. And so from doing that, I've been picking up on even more things and certain things that I'm attached to, like that I didn't even realize I was attached to. My mother was born in Argentina, and it would frustrate me so much. Like I said, I'm in Arizona. I'm born and raised here, We're right next to Mexico. I'm brown hair. Normal when I'm tan, I was very little brown child. Everyone just assumed I was Mexican. And I was just get so annoyed and offended at maybe the ignorance of just assuming because I was not a little pale child that I must be from Mexico. And so then I tied so much to that, as well as like, oh, do you like spicy foods? No, but I love a steak and a red wine. So that's very on brand with Argentina. And as I'm diving into this spiritual journey, now I'm starting to consider altering my diet majorly and even considering possibly not eating meat anymore. And I'm like, am I a person who doesn't eat meat? And then it's just all of these questions that leads to these spirals. It's very interesting once you realize what you're attached to, how many other things start popping up.
Absolutely. And the attachment to, as I said, to our false self-identity, which really is based on our belief system, which really is based on the environment we've grown up in. So, and our ancestors, our parents, their history, all that creates our self-identity. And then, just as you said, the food or everything, our whole life is about that self-identity. And it's very bonding, because then we are not free person. We follow a certain path. Well, because I am this and this culture, I eat this and this. But yeah, as you said, your body may not necessarily agree with that. So listening to the body and removing the attachment, actually removing the attachment will get you more into listening to the body, and then you will just do whatever you want to do. You will eat whatever you want to eat and what is good for you. And the cultural background and everything, the history will feel like, yeah, there is something there, but it's very vague. It's very, yeah, okay, doesn't really matter. Like, you remember, but you're not it. You're not that person. And that's an absolute freedom, because that actually, not only within your body and within the health, but also within everything, within a relationship, within the career, within business, it gives you absolute freedom to do whatever you want to do, how you want to do it, and live your life on your terms, rather than going within a predetermined path of your ancestors or culture background or any other background.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, that's the difference. The mind needs self-identity. The mind needs, it's a security. It's, I belong there. And our worst fear as humans, as conditioned humans who function on the mind level, our first fear is being alone and not belonging anywhere. In a higher consciousness, when you drop the mind, you don't belong anywhere. You are you. You are you. You're beyond the body. You're beyond the mind. You're the totality of the being, you. Everything else comes out of it, but you are not attached to it. None of it.
Yes. I love all of that. I'm even thinking of more things that I'm like, oh wow. Oh wow. Have done a lot, and I know all of it was for a reason, so that I could now have this clarity. This is on the same topic, but at the same time a little, I don't know, want to say advanced, but maybe a little different than stop eating meat and identifying with cultures. I was listening about expanding and, just getting downloads and spirit guides. I don't even know the right word right now, but the question, or the statement that is a question, is they were talking about having an attachment to your physical body and not allowing like external guidance to be received. Has that been something
Yeah.
you've ever dealt with?
Yeah. So again, It's the same as the cultural thing.
Yeah.
It's really is, or the name. We are not our bodies.
Yeah.
The bodies, just as the external world, are transient. They change. So you may have a lot of past lives with a different bodies, but you, the core of your totality of the being, doesn't change. Attachment to the body creates. It starts with the body. It starts with the body because think about it. When we are born, we have no identity. Only then we actually, as newborns, when we move a hand in front of our eyes, the newborn doesn't know that it's their hand. It's an object that moves. Only later, the self-identity says, "Oh, it's my hand," and then the mirror comes in, and oh, it's my face, right? And that creates, and then all the society stuff and the conditioning in terms of what does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to be a man? How do you need to behave? How do you need to talk? How do you need to act? Everything. So the attachment to the body actually needs to go if you are to be a free person. And it will go once we do the thing humans call dying. As soon as the mind ceases to exist, the body stops functioning. The body is there only because we have a mind. The body is an illusion. It really is. Our physical experience is not real. The physical reality, including the body, is not real. The experience seems to be real, and that is done by the mind. When the mind ceases to exist, the body and nothing external is there anymore. And then we may decide to come in a different body. So really, to understand who you are, you need to go beyond the mind that creates the illusion, including the body. So again, self-attachment to the body creates all sorts of anxiety. Again, body image issues. I compare myself to the outside world. Who am I? Am I beautiful enough? Well, if I'm not, now I have depression or whatever, like all sorts of things. So yeah. So if you
That's
got
ground level.
If you got the message, then I will absolutely follow it.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. I love all of that. Okay, perfect. So then I guess we'll backtrack a little bit if you want to share a little bit of your story and how you got into here. And I'm sure we'll go on a few tangents throughout.
Okay. So I'll try to keep it short. I was humaning, as I was humaning as the other humans. I was kind of busy in a corporate world, mom, 2 kids. Then I got pregnant with my 3rd kid, and I almost died because I was literally just go, high achiever, go, never rested, never ever rested, and just control freak. So that was kind of a first point when I started. I literally, well, since I didn't die, it got me to thinking. And I was like, there is no way we came here to do this as humans. Like, absolutely, the life as I've known it stopped making sense. And that started my journey. And then I just really wanted to know who I was. That is, I didn't want a success. I didn't want a clients. I didn't want anything. I just wanted to know who I was. And that thrown me into what you can say is a lot of spiritual experiences, like out of body, astral travel, collapsing of the mind into the center of the consciousness and literally wrapping itself up, and my body ceasing to exist. So like collapsing the mind into the black hole in the center of the consciousness, experiencing myself as a pure consciousness and kind of like other things. And I created this picture as a puzzle. I got it. Like, I got more and more wisdom, more and more understanding who we are and how we function. And with that, the mind was dropping and less information was needed. and the dependency on the outside world to tell me who I am and how I should function, that stopped making sense. Like literally that stopped making sense. So what I would say, it was like, and this is how we are, the analogy would be a dreaming. When we are dreaming, the dream feels very real. Absolutely. Because when something happy is happening or funny or we like, we feel joy, we feel the emotions. When there are not so much nice things happening, we feel terror, or we feel fear. And it's not like we are looking at the dream like a movie. We are in the dream. We are a protagonist in the dream, and we feel everything until we wake up and realize that, oh, hold on, it was just the dream. So life is the same way. It's not like we are seeing the life as a movie. We are being in that dream, but we are dreaming it. So, and we need to wake up. Otherwise, it's pretty hard. And, a lot of anxiety, a lot of struggle, a lot of challenges, a lot of chronic illnesses. And we're all doing it to ourselves, because when we wake up, we understand that, oh, it's just a dream. And what I'm doing is to get people into that state, because everyone wakes up when we die. We realize it, what it was. But I'm helping clients and people I work with to get into the high consciousness, realizing who we are, and seeing the world through the real eyes, not the mind's conditioning eyes, before we actually die. Yeah. And then life is just amazing, blast. It's just fun.
Yeah. I loved your little part that I read that was talking about playing your way through life, because it is a game. And I was like, oh, I love the play on words and the play. It just sounds so much fun.
Yeah, we do. Everyone, when we die, we realize it was just a game. And if you have read some out-of-body experiences, or better, near-death experiences of people who didn't die but came back, that's what they all say. It's like, oh my gosh, I realize it's just a really a grand synchronicities kind of like game and play. And we don't need to take it so seriously. The mind, with its conditioning, creates the seriousness, really creates the seriousness, creates the rules, and creates the consequences. Another analogy which I sometimes give is the Monopoly game. So when we decide, let's say we are a group of people and we decide to play a Monopoly game, there are certain rules, right? There is a certain board, there are certain characters, and there are certain rules. So if I throw 3, I go 3 forward. Depending where I land to, there is consequence of my next move, right? Everything is kind of set. And some people play the Monopoly game and they are so into it, they forget, and they have real emotions. They don't want to lose, right? That's life. But meanwhile, that's really life with all the consequences, because the mind created the consequences and the belief system will live by it. But when we realize that it's just a game, I don't need to follow those rules. I don't need to follow that belief system, whatever belief system it is. I'm free. And I'm no longer playing the Monopoly. I'm kind of just like chilling, and not stressing about it, and really enjoying life.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I know I've been doing a lot of ancestral healing and working on that. That was kind of one of the first things that sparked one of my most recent spiritual awakenings. And there is a lot of stress and just pressure to be a strong woman and to get it all done at all times. Like you said, you never sat down, like just go, go, go. And that's not how I want my life to be. And yeah, I think it's amazing when you can decide to at least start moving in that direction and be like, okay, I'm not going to play by all these rules. I don't have to go to college. I don't have to get a corporate job. I don't have to slave away for years to eventually climb up the ladder to then do what? Keep working for someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. The one point I would say is you need to rewrite your belief system. Because if someone takes a look at it and says, okay, so I don't need to do this, if you still keep your old belief system, then there will be negative consequences because you believe that you need to do it. The really the crashing of the belief system comes first. And that's why, because once the belief system crashes, there are no consequences and you can really choose not to. And other people will be like, well, but how come you are successful without a degree? Or how come, well, you're doing whatever a person never does, no one does, right? Well, because those rules do not apply to me. But you need to go and shift the belief system first. Otherwise, you will have a negative consequences because you are still playing that game. So that's why, and the easiest, well, not the easiest, the simplest way, not easy, but simplest and fastest way how to drop belief system is to drop the mind, literally turning away from the mind, because the mind is creating the illusion, and the illusion comes with a certain belief system. So you mentioned healing. I've done a lot of healing 10 years ago, 8 years ago, until I realized that even the healing is on the mind level. So think about it. So I mentioned I was in corporate, a lot of people are. And then at some point, whether a burnout, like it was for me, or a chronic disease or something, people realize like, okay, hold on, this is not life. And now we find ourselves on this spiritual path. And now the mind is like, ooh, okay, so this is good. The mind, you have to understand, the mind always is about the goal and doing. Consciousness is about the being and not action. So the mind is like, ooh, okay, spiritual world. And now it takes the same belief system and takes the spiritual world and puts it on some pedestal. And now I need to do this. I need to do healing. I need to do Reiki. I need to charge my crystals. I need to do full moon rituals. I need to do all this. And it's so exhausting because people do it for 10 or 20 years and they're still not where they want to be. They spend so much time doing it. Every time you do something, it's from the mind. When you drop the mind, you realize you don't need to do it. You are Reiki. You are crystals. You are the energy. Everything what we do throughout the healing journey is a permission slip. Is really, even the guides, even the spiritual guides, do they exist? Yeah, but it's an on the mind level to get you to the next level. So what I would encourage you or everyone else, if you've been on the journey so long, you don't need to heal. The healing comes only when you have the certain belief system and conditioning, and you need to heal it. And the mind always finds something deeper and deeper you need to heal. When you drop the mind and the mind dissolves, there is just pure consciousness. There is no belief system. You don't need to heal anything. So it's like the journey continues. Don't stop. Because I've worked and met with many high-performing coaches, healers, and that's exactly, they've realized what I realized is like, this is exhausting. Like, I've been doing this for so long, but how do I get where you are? Like, how can I be free? I still have anxiety and I still need to do things. I'm like, yeah, because doing is from the mind. So the mind kind of plays tricks on us because it wants to keep us in the illusion.
Yeah.
So do it, but don't get attached to it, because as soon as you're getting attached to something, you are being lost in an illusion. So let's say crystals. Do I love crystals? I love crystals. You will find many crystals in my home, but I just love them, just like I love sea, ocean, or sand. I don't need crystals to be happy or to heal me. I am that. I am all that is. You are all that is. We are all that is beyond the mind and body. Everything what we use is just a permission slip on the way, and it's depending where we are on the journey.
Yeah. What I found is there's always something else, like you said. Like there's always
There's
like,
always
okay,
something
this
else.
is the one crystal that's going to heal you forever. Oh, but you haven't done this, so you got to do this. And then you need to go over here and do this. And it's just always.
And again, I never invalidate anything. If crystals work for you, if Reiki works for you, do it, because you are on that part of the journey where you need it. It's like, it's a permission slip. It's really permission slip. But I am a Reiki master. I did my Reiki master 10 years ago. I dropped it. I'm just working with a client who is a Reiki master. For 10 years, she's been doing Reiki. And as soon as she started working with me, she was like, oh my gosh, Daniela, like, this completely shatters my world. I'm like, yeah, because the mind goes. Like, there is nothing, just pure you. And you don't need anyone. You are you. So I just want to remind everyone that use it, but don't give your power away to anything, whether it's a book, whether it's a coach, whether it's a guru, whether it's a crystals, whether it's a Reiki. At the end of the day, you need to go to the basics, that there is nothing and no one out there. Everyone out there and everything out there, the world out there, is a projection of your mind. You are creating it for yourself to be on this journey, but don't get attached to it and don't depend on it, because then you're right there in the illusion, playing the Monopoly, and you forgot that you are playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always the basics. It's always the simple stuff that's no frill, no sparkle, no nothing. But
it's simple, but because we have the mind, until the mind drops, what the mind does is it really serves like, imagine a thief dressed in a police officer uniform, trying to be very helpful, finding the thief. You will never solve the case. And this is it with all these modalities, people, EFT, whatever we mentioned, Reiki, full moon. It's like, oh, let's do this. And we fall for it. We do, because we are humans and because we are using the mind. Once the mind drops, we no longer fall for the tricks. We are pure consciousness. We don't need anything outside of ourselves to just be.
So then would you align with the common saying of a couple, but maybe different words, but like heal yourself and heal the world, or like, you are the only one who has the power. I know you don't like the word heal, but just kind of like it's all within you and the rest of the world to place.
I will say it's all you. It's all you. In terms of heal yourself to heal the world, yeah, there is some truth to it, but you don't need to heal the world. If you're dreaming the dream and you think the dream is real, and there is someone who needs to be healed in the dream, or something bad is happening, if you're in the dream, you're acting as it was real. So you're helping or whatever you're doing. When you're realizing you're dreaming, why would you do something to heal the world? You're realizing the rest of the world is also dreaming. And again, back to the basic, the rest of the world is your projection. So whatever you see in the world is a mirror of your belief system. It's a mirror of your metaphysical body. That's how the reality is created. We have these layers of the body, or layers of the dimensions, and as the consciousness, which is a pure light, travels through these dimensions, it the mind creates this filter. It goes through the metaphysical body. And when I say metaphysical body, that's our belief system. Those are our emotional patterns, mental patterns, our environment, conditioning, everything, our belief system. And as the consciousness hits or goes through that dimension, it literally splits itself, like when the light falls on the drop of the water and creates a rainbow with the light. It splits itself and creates the experience, the illusion of physical experience, which is not real, but the mind creates it as it was real. So everything what you see out there is a reflection of your metaphysical body. You cannot change illusion, just as you cannot touch or tweak a rainbow. It's an illusion. It's an optical illusion. You can change the world by changing the metaphysical body. How? Some people call it healing. Mm-hmm. I call it drop the mind, because whatever you heal is on the level of the mind. When the mind goes, the filter is almost like non-existence, and you just see clearly. And the world, there is a different world. I live in a different world than you live, because I see a completely different world than you see, because my world is a reflection of my belief system or my metaphysical body. So I don't see anything wrong with the world or that it needs to be healed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it.
So in simple terms, just wake up.
Yeah.
When you wake up, you realize you don't need to heal anything, let alone you.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that goes along the lines of how you mentioned so many things are counterproductive to actually achieving the goals or what we want to do, because I'm assuming the goals are in place from the mind.
Yeah, whether they are corporate goals, business goals, spiritual goals, I need to achieve, I need to get enlightenment, I need to do more healing, I need to do this and this. No, you don't. Mm-hmm. An average individual, when I work with people, it's for maximum three months. It's usually between 1 and 2 months. The mind just drops within 2 months, and you don't need to do any healing for the rest of your life, unless the mind creates an illusion that there needs to be healing. What is a healing? It's a goal. Mm-hmm. It's a doing. Healing is a doing. We are not human doings. We are human beings. It's a totality of my being is just be. Don't fall for the thief in the police officer uniform. It's so much out there. This goal oriented, but you need to remember that the mind is externalized. The mind doesn't know, consciousness can never know, because the consciousness created the mind. So the mind is externalized, and it always points out there. It always points out there, whether it's my business goal or whether it's a spiritual goal. I need to heal, or I need to achieve certain status or enlighten. I need to get enlightened. It's a goal. Well, good luck with that for the rest of your life, because there will be you cannot find it out there. You need to, and this is back to what you mentioned, it's within you. Mm-hmm. Just drop the mind, come back to you. And that requires a lot of discipline, dropping the mind and coming back to you. But the mind will drop sooner or later.
Yeah, I know you don't need to divulge your whole process, but what type of, I don't know, modalities, do you use any different tools? Is there anything about your process that
I do have some exercises I give clients, but it's really about turning away from if someone would really want to do this, is as I said, we cannot change illusion. So realize that there is nothing out there to change. turn away from the mind. The thoughts you're thinking, they are not yours. You think they're yours, they are not yours. The emotions you're feeling, they are not yours. It's your body conditioning. Observe the mind, observe the emotions, but don't fall for it. Don't identify with it. Absolutely detach from the mind. And that will lessen and weaken the conditioning in the mind until the mind literally dissolves. It ceases to have any power exist. We still use the mind while we are here because, as I said, the mind creates the projection of the physical reality, but the mind will get aligned with the consciousness instead of being separated. It's kind of like the consciousness becomes unconscious by creating the mind and the belief system. And now to reverse it, the unconscious consciousness goes back to the full self, being fully conscious. So the mind is still there until we die because it creates the illusion of the physical reality, but there is no belief system and there is no conditioning. Yeah. Like you see things different. The fear disappears. You have no fear. So yeah, discipline, turn away from the mind. Don't take yourself so seriously. Don't take your thoughts seriously. I don't care what the thoughts are. It doesn't matter. Don't take your emotions so seriously. The world out there is just the projection of you. You need to go in, not out.
Oh, amazing. So you had mentioned you did some healing 10, 5, 8 years ago. So then were you always very religious, spiritual in this world, or?
Absolutely not. I was hit with it just like with a brick. No, I was not. I grew up in Czechoslovakia. So born and raised in Czechoslovakia, which was in the middle of the Cold War, so communism. So no religion there. And then I was very, very, most of my adult life, I was very analytical, logical. I have a very, very strong logical mind. So I was literally the opposite. I was literally the program human, like, this is the proof. I see it, I believe it. 1 + 1 is 2, whatever, like very logical, very analytical. As I said, I got hit with it, just like with a break. It just happened. So I know it had to happen. I know I planned it on a soul level. I was surprised by it quite a lot. And I didn't want to do it because it was too painful, emotionally, mentally, physically. But I needed to surrender and let go. So that was probably the most challenging, to drop all the control and allow whatever needs to happen. And then all those spiritual experiences happened. And it's like things happened not because I did them, but because I was. It just
you didn't have to get 2 crystals, tap them together, and then do EFT and do all that.
Because in my old world, in my old conditioning, those things were weird. It's like, I don't want to do it. It never, even when I did it, like, it never kind of like makes it like, oh, I don't want to. And you have to remember, I was a control freak. So as a control freak, you're not giving control to anything, not even the crystals. So for me, dropping everything and literally surrendering to the higher being or consciousness, that was a very painful process, and I needed to do it. There was no way out. So that's how it happened. I didn't plan it. I resisted for a long time, and the resistance was really painful until until I did let go.
Yeah. So how did your family and friends react when all of a sudden you went from logical control to life's cool, I'm just chilling?
Very interesting. Very interesting. First, you have to understand that it's not like you change and the rest of the world stays the same.
Mhm.
The rest of the world is a reflection of you. So as I change, my family and friends changed.
Yeah.
So from being logical, or they change without me coaching them or without me doing something. It's like when you're up leveling in a higher consciousness, your whole environment is, because again, back to the basics, you cannot perceive anything you're not vibrationally matched to. So in the lower consciousness, stress, anxiety, that the world around you and the people around you reflect and match that. So your friends are stressed, your friends are logical, your friends are deep into 3D, into human conditioning. As you up level, they may not change in the same level as you, but they will shift. They either shift and up level too to a certain extent, or they will leave your experience. Both happen in my case, because when you up level to the higher consciousness, you cannot perceive the lower. You only can perceive what you are vibrationally matched to. It's a simple physics. So to answer your question, is they were not surprised because they shifted with me.
Yeah.
Kind of, it was like, see, that's the difference how the mind sees. The mind sees the world as, okay, this is the world, this is the reality. I am born here and I am now navigating my life, my way through the life. The reality is fixed. It's not. We are energetic beings and we are constantly every minute shifting into a different reality based on the vibrations, based on who we are, right? Based on the metaphysical body. So this is, for example, why I say, well, why the action doesn't create the results, but who you are, your energy creates results, because everything what you do now shifts your reality. Your next future depends on who you are, not what you do. Who you are this moment. And so your world shifts as you shift, right? And this is something when I work with people, you really don't need to work 80 hours a week or I don't know how many hours a week. Like I work 4 or 5 hours a week and I have fun because it's not even work. But because things happen not because I make them happen, things happen because I just am. When I'm with a client, often they ask me, how did you do this? When we do a meditation or something, I'm like, I didn't do anything. Well, what is your process into nothing? I'm being. It's my energy that creates the shift. That's why I said you don't need Reiki.
Yeah.
On the lower, on the mind, when the mind makes you believe you need the crystals, you need rituals, you need habits. And this whole spiritual world is a lot of rituals. Like I know people who 4 hours in journaling. I've been journaling for 3 hours. I'm like, what the really? Yeah. How do you like it? Do you want to keep it? I mean, keep it, but no, I don't journal. I don't do anything. I'm just being.
Yeah.
So the world, the reality is not fixed. The reality reflects your being now, not yesterday, and not in the future, because you're literally creating future today, who you are now in this moment. Because you have to understand, and I know you do, the past and future doesn't exist. It's an illusion the mind creates creates this time and space reality. What is happening is we are vibrationally matching the reality we are vibrationally matched to. We are shifting. Today, right now, we are creating our future, which is not future. It's always now. We are just shifting into it.
Yeah, I know. I love this concept, and trying to wrap your mind around it. Yeah, that's something.
No, you cannot
Try to get too logical. But yeah, it's always the now. Yeah. It's a lot too. I know. I was like, okay, so if everything's happening right now, then past lives are more like parallel lives.
They are. And even what you said about the ancestors healing, it's a parallel reality. And the game of life is designed that when you're unconscious, when the unconscious is unconscious, when the consciousness is unconscious and kind of like forgets that who we are, we forget who we are. You can take wisdom from that parallel reality, and it's not all parallel reality, but it's a parallel reality that is related to the soul journey you decided to do here as a physical experience, right? So whatever healing it was with your ancestors, it's a theme you agreed to and designed for this lifetime, and you can shift and you can get a wisdom from that parallel reality to understand who you are here and to wake up.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? Because you have a lot of parallel there. Existence is finished, creation is done, everything exists, but you don't need to go everywhere. On the mind level, you can tap into that parallel reality you need to, which is Akashic records. Akashic records and quantum is the same. It's everything exists, is the same. It's the field.
I was just going to ask you about the Akashic records. Yeah. That was one of like my best, I think about it all the time. I had an Akashic records reading done in January this year, and it was just amazing.
So use it for everything, because everything is serving you. And again, everything is a permission slip. So use it. But continue on the journey, understanding that you are Akashic records. So I can give you an example. When I started this spiritual journey, again, high achiever, control freak, I'm like, Akashic records. Yep, I'm in. And I did two levels of Akashic records. I couldn't do it. There was nothing. I couldn't connect. I was so on the mind, in the low consciousness of the mind and analytical, like there was nothing. Now I don't need to tap into Akashic records. I get everything what I need to know. Like I don't hold any memory. I don't hold any information. I talk to people and I get knowing. I don't need to do any rituals to get into, to open the records or whatever. It's all on the mind level. So this just shows you the contrast, how the mind does, but you are all that is. You are Akashic records. If you had a reading with someone who is very gifted in the Akashic records, you need to understand you created that person to help you on the journey, so you know more and so you can continue. But that person is your creation. Back to the basics, there is no one out there. Everyone is your creation. So that's how you take it.
Yeah. I had a reading done, and everything, I recognize this afterwards. It was like everything was almost too positive and too good. Maybe she's a fraud. Maybe it's not true because it was too good, but there was a lot to it. But I could see my mind trying to be logical and still just be like, nope, this isn't real.
you have to remember that any person who does reading, whether Akashic records or psychic readings or whatever, future telling, they filter the information through their belief system, through their conditioning, through their religion, through their background, through their belief system. So the information you get is filtered. That's why when I really got kind of when the mind dropped, I dropped everything. I dropped the tarot readings. I heard even psychic readings. Is it valid? Is it possible? Do people do it? Yes. But again, you create everyone on the journey to get you to the next step, but never ever give away your power to them. It's like, ooh, they are gifted and I am not. It's like when I work with clients, I said, never ever see me as someone, a guru or whoever. You created me so I can guide you to who you are. You are me. It's the same energy. Never ever. If it's Eckhart Tolle, if it's, I don't care what kind of guru, what they did, you are the same energy, is the same consciousness, and you created them, most importantly, in most circumstances, to see what's possible for you. They're not there for you to feel inferior. Never ever think like that.
So that would be like the mind's projection to give you the viewpoint of what could be possible, of what would that be?
There are predetermined things. When we come here, we create a life, we create a theme of life, right? So for you, it was your Argentinian background, living in Arizona, your marrying husband, blah, blah, blah. That was not a coincidence. You created that. You planned that. You planned. And okay, so let's when you were coming on Earth, not in the physical, but you wanted to have the feeling of physical experience, because again, physical experience is not real. The experience is real. So you planned a theme of life. I will be born here in this year. I will be woman. I will be this color. I will be this background. And I will have this kind of challenges. I will have this kind of challenges. I want to experience this, because you are an unlimited being. And being unlimited being is kind of not fun, because you're all that is. So what do? Ooh, you create limitations and you create emotions. Those are two things why you came here, to experience limitations and to experience emotions. Because as unlimited being, all that is energy, there is no emotion. You cannot. Emotions is duality. Joy, up, fear, down. Duality. And you create limitations. It's just like a board game. It's just like a Monopoly. I create limitations. This is the board game, and these are the rules. So you created that, you planned all that. And then there were people who were like, yeah, and we will come with you. And we will support you in those limitations. And also there are people who go, and we will come with you and we will support you whenever you're ready to leave the limitations. And those are your Akashic records readers, or any other coaches, right? So that's why they are there in your life. And at the same time, there are people who don't treat you well, who your parents with their conditioning, people who harm you, abuse you, make you angry. And those support you on the journey and to create limitations, because that's why you came here.
Yeah, I love the phrase support your limitations.
Absolutely.
I love that because
you sign up for it.
Yeah, I just was listening to another podcast and she was talking about relationships like with your mother, with your parents, and how you were like, okay, I want to experience this role of essentially these conflicts, these limitations with my mother, and they agreed to come and play that out for you. But now you are so upset and you never want to speak to her and see her or do this, when in reality she's playing the role you wrote for her to play. And I just love that phrase, support your limitations, because I personally have had great experiences, but understanding the other side and just hearing it like that, it was, I don't know, really illuminating.
Yeah. And then it's really a game we are playing. It really is. And that's why on the mind level, it feels real, even when someone do us harm or frustrates us or angers us, whatever it is. On the mind level, we are angry with them. When we drop the belief system in the mind, we see it for what it is. We cannot be angry with anyone. I mean, first of all, again, there is no one out there, but in the physical reality, we created them. So the only person I can be kind of angry is me, but why would I?
Yeah.
It's really just like forgetting about that we are playing a board game or any other game.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of video games. I watch my husband play and
yes.
like we start and it's you're building your character and you have, like little characters to fight that are really small levels and only have a few moves, and then you build up and then all of a sudden you're just like beating every enemy in one move, and I'm like, this isn't even fun. And I'm researching stuff and there's a godlike, character you could create. And then I'm like, that would be even less fun, because what would I do for this game besides push one button and then everything would disappear and then I'm there. And I'm like, okay, well, would be like how life would be.
But this is exactly why we come here. And think about it, even as humans. Why do humans do skydiving or jumping from the bridge? Like anything. Like, why do Hunger Games? Those are all games or conditions that create limitations. Why? Because we are bored. And we are very limited humans, and we get bored, so we create this thrill. I was once asked why fear exists, and my answer was thrill. Because as an unlimited being, all that is, you gotta have some thrill. So you create fear. You create conditions that create fear. You create conditions that create anxiety. You create conditions that create disease. Ooh, isn't it fun? Isn't it now exciting to go through it's like challenges and everything. Humans do the same stuff on a different level. And again, when humans do it, is the same stuff. Unlimited consciousness just does it too.
Yeah. So interesting to talk about all of this. I could talk to you for like the rest of my life, but we won't do that. So is there any other topic you want to discuss, you want to bring up? Do you want to share where they could reach out to you and find more about your work?
Whoever is interested, they can find me on my website. So it's DanielaSulek.com. They can reach out to me via email. There is nothing else I want to discuss. If people have questions, if you get kind of like a response and the questions, I will be more than happy to answer those, maybe in a future episode. But for now, I'm good.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you for choosing to spend your time here with me today. If this episode and the message I shared resonated with you, and you would like to support the podcast, please share on your social media, share with your friends and family, rate, review, and subscribe. And remember, you have the power already within you to create the life you desire. Until next episode.